around and offer the opportunity for you to hear Blanca Gonzalez and Nilko Guarin. You might recognize Blanca from the Mozart's Festival, and she is will be presenting music, mostly Latin America. We tomorrow are going to be in Wellsville at the high school to present an outreach workshop to the high school music students as well as the Spanish class. So I know those students are very, very excited, and I'm pleased that we'll be able to do that. Tomorrow evening, I'm going to give a plug that the jazz band is performing at 7:30 in Miller Theater, and they sound amazing. So this will be a really wonderful treat. And then Saturday night, we turn the stage over again to our duo for a presentation at 7:30 in Miller Theater. So without further ado, I'd like to turn this over to our guests.
Hi, my name is Blanca, and I'm so happy to be bringing this special project to Mostarts and to Alfred. This is how I think of Alfred, Mostarts. I've been coming up to your beautiful town since 2015, and it's a pleasure to be here for the school year. And I'm bringing a project with my friend Nilko Guarin on guitar, and we are going to play and explore folkloric music and the influence of folk on different times and different eras, as well as different lands. And what you just heard was a small tango from Piazzolla, and the next big thing that we're bringing is our music from our home country, which is Colombia in South America.
Thank you. So as Blanca said, my name is Nilko. I'm really happy to be here. So this next piece, it's called Brisas de Santa Elena, which it's an homage to a small town in Colombia, where we're both from, that is called Santa Elena. And it's in the rhythm of bambuco. So I'm going to briefly give you a short introduction about this particular rhythm. Colombia is located in the north part of South America, and it's very, very complex, and we're very lucky to be covered by the two oceans at the same time in a very quite small country. And our history, it's a mixture of cultures. So we had the Spaniards that came, and they brought with them Africans. So when they mixed with the native people that were already in the country, they started sharing culture and music, and the Africans brought the drums, and they mixed with the native melodies that the indigenous people, the native people had, and then the Spaniards gave us the language. So this mixture of this melting pot of cultures created a lot of different rhythms that originally were played with drums and the flutes, melodies and African drums. And eventually, this very native element of music got mixed with a more intellectual, more academic way of putting the music together, and that's how bambuco was born. So this is a very basic rhythmic pattern that repeats, and it goes like this. So basically what happened is that the drums started to be replicated in the strings and mixed with melodies that were originated in the native flutes. So this is just a little background on the music that you're going to be hearing right now. So this is traditional Colombian music, Brisas de Santa Elena. Thank you. So this next piece is another traditional Colombian rhythm, and it's called pasillo. And it's a very interesting dance because it's an evolution of a very strong influence from Europe in the continent. So it came from the Venetian vals, which is in 3/4 usually. This last bambuco piece we heard is mainly in 6/8. So we have this alternation of both rhythms at the same time, which is very typical from Latin American music. So pasillo, it was all this music was created for dancing in the countryside mainly. And then when people started writing music and with more academic input, then they started to do more elaborated arrangements. So this rhythm is called pasillo, and the name of the song is Vino Tinto, which translates to red wine. So it's usually a little faster, and it's in straight 3/4 meter. Vino Tinto. Also, this music belongs to the Andes region of Colombia. That's very important. As opposed to being music from the coast, this is from the mountains, where it's really cold. Actually, we're both from the mountains. We're from Bogota, and it's actually 2,600 meters over level sea, so it's kind of cold. So they need music and dance to keep themselves warm, as we all do.
So we come from Colombia, and we also have, both of us also have a classical training background. And how do you do this? Hello. Inspired by our love of classical music and our roots of Colombian music, we are curious about the influence of folk in all parts of the world. And Bartók, a Hungarian composer from the 20th century, is somebody who went around and traveled in remote little areas and explored this element of folk influence and the richness of it. So he and Kodai, another composer, traveled around little towns, and they recorded and they transcribed all the melodies that they heard the peasant people singing and dancing too. So they saw the beauty of all this strange rhythm and strange harmony that was outside of the concert halls with Brahms and with all Beethoven. And they made a big effort to bring out to the audience, to the people, the richness of the music of the people. And the next song Bartók composed, folkloric collections of different towns in Hungary. It's called the Romanian folk dances. And they are all they're all based on short little dances from different towns in Hungary. So for today's purpose, we're going to play the last 3 songs of the collection. So come back on Saturday so you can hear the entire thing. And this is the Bucie Mana. This next one is called the Romanian polka. Manizales. Okay, so the next song we'd like to play for you is going back across to the newer world in South America. And it's a Colombian song called Feria de Manizales. Now this song is funny because it became very well known and popular and became to be known as the hymn of a major festival that happens in this city called Manizales, where there's like a 10-day festival for bullfighting. And bullfighting actually comes from Spain. So folk music, it's an interesting thing to explore, that it's not just what the indigenous people, it all travels around, you know. And this song was written by a Spaniard composer to celebrate a bullfighting festival set by the poem of a Colombian composer. And for many years, people were like, this is Colombian music. But it's not. It's Spanish music. But Colombia is partly influenced by Spaniards, and they traveled around, and it's a really fun thing to explore, how we all are connected. And in this song, we will be singing for you, and it talks about the beautiful landscape of the land, and you'll hear some strange effects that we explore, trying to make it sound like you're at this festival where there's, like, you know, snare drums and people screaming, and it's a party. So Feria de Manizales.
Manizales rumorosa, sobre tu cielo de rosa, canta el viento su alegría.
Tan dulce es la tiranía de tu belleza preclara, que antes de que yo te amara, mi corazón te quería. Manizales del alma, hay manizales de ensueño, con los zafiros del alba, borda su ofrenda mi ensueño. Hay manizales de plata, hay manizales de armiño,
prenden tu cuello de nácar, el collar de tu cariño.
manizales de armiño, con los zafiros del alma, borda su ofrenda mi ensueño. Hay manizales de plata, hay manizales de armiño, tu cuello de nácar, el collar de mi cariño. ¡Olé! ¿Qué sigue?
Nightclub.
Okay, thank you. So we are going to be doing more of this on Saturday. And just to finish this little program, I'm going to talk a little about the next piece. So now that we know that folk music has influenced very much classical music, we go back to a composer that is very special because he was born in Buenos Aires. And just like Bartók did, he traveled all around Argentina and around Argentina. And then he absorbed all the traditional elements of his native music, mainly tango music from Argentina. I'm talking about Astor Piazzolla. But then he went to study under the most famous and more important teacher at the time in France, Nadia Boulanger, who trained many of the greatest and most famous composers of today, like Stravinsky and other composers. And Piazzolla studied with Nadia Boulanger because he wanted to become a classical composer, and he wrote symphonies, he wrote operas, he did many things in the traditional style of European tradition. But then he discovered that what he did better was writing tangos and traditional Argentinian music. So also Nadia, his teacher, told him, you should just go back and write what you're best at. So he came back to Argentina and started writing tango, but after studying and absorbing all this European influence. So he he developed tango and he made modern tango. So he wrote this next piece called The History of Tango. And it's basically a chronological history of tango from its origins in the bordels, in the very, on the street. Tango, it's music from peasants, and it's actually very engraved in the traditions of Argentinians. And the first movement is called Bordel, which was actually the movement we heard at the beginning of this program. And we're going to finish with the third movement that is called Nightclub. So basically the first movement, it's called Bordel or Tango of the 1900s. The second movement is called Café, which is Tango of the 1930s, where tango was accepted already in small cafes. So it came out of the streets to become part of a more social life. And then in 1960s, which is the third movement called Nightclub, tango started to be heard in bigger places around Buenos Aires. And then the last movement that we will play on Saturday, it's called Concert d'aujourd'hui, in French means the concert of today, which is a more contemporary approach to tango. So Piazzolla is loved by many classical musicians and people that believe in the development of modern music. But Piazzolla, it's also not that loved among the people that wants to preserve tango as a very authentic and something that shouldn't be touched. So there you go. So this is Astor Piazzolla Nightclub to finish this program. And we hope to see you guys on Saturday so that you can hear more of what we have prepared for you this time. How are we doing with time? questions?
So come on Saturday night at 7:30, and we would love to hear any questions or any comments. Hi.
We have time for 2 questions.
Or any feelings?